Hello everyone, my name's Rendi, and this is the Level 3 1 of 1 series. And this is Bozo right here, who decided to join us for this video. In this series, we take on challenges never done before as a level 3, or less than a handful of people have done in the level 3 community. I am going to make the most unique account possible, as I love building just trophy showcase accounts. Before we get any further, I would ask you to please subscribe to the channel if you've been enjoying my content and are not already subscribed. It's the easiest and greatest way to support me. On another note, you're not gonna believe what game I play with Bozo next to me in my bed often, and that is Raid Shadow Legends, today's video sponsor. Hear me out on this. If you wait till the end, there's going to be a great promo and reward for those who are watching. Raid is a game that's been around for over 5 years, and Bozo is not even that old. That tells you it's got a loyal fan base, over 4 million users, 250 million downloads, 16 factions, 1 million plus builds, 30 plus bosses, constant monthly updates. I could go on and on, but there's not enough time in this ad segment for me to just mention every great thing about Raid. Right now, going on in Raid Shadow Legends from January 8th to April 10th, it's time for tea. Players can get their hands on the likes of Alice the Wanderer, Cheshire Cat, Mad Hatter, Knave of Hearts, and the fearsome Queen of Hearts. You can get the legendary champion Alice the Wanderer for free, along with a bunch of rewards simply by opening Raid on 14 different days. You must start by March 26th to get Alice this way. New players, it's literally the best time to try out Raid right now. I wish I had these champions when I started back in the day, so click my link, download the game, and get an epic boss killer Vergis and Rector Drath upon reaching level 25 with other bonuses included. Don't forget about my promo code Monkey King, valid till February 28th, to also get a legendary Sun Wukong. I wish I had gotten all of these heroes when I started, but here we are. It's your opportunity now. Okay, so as always, we have to run down the list of what we've already achieved in this series just to give you a refresher, and if you missed any of this, you can go back in the playlist below and check it all out. So far, the list of unique achievements on this account is as follows. It's rank 1 in several boss high scores on the Skiller high scores. It's the only level 3 with Perilous Moons done. It's the only level 3 with Priest and Peril done. It's the only level 3 with Tob KC. It's the only level 3 with Barrows KC. It's the only level 3 with Hard Mode Tob KC. It's the only level 3 with the Fire Cape and all 1 stats. It's one of a handful of level 3s with Fremennik Trials done. It's the only level 3 with Lunar Chest KC. It's the only level 3 with a Hard Combat Achievement Hilt. It's the only level 3 with Aaraxor KC. It's the only level 3 with Meet and Greet quest completed. It's the only level 3 with Emissary Robes. And most recently, in our last video, I took on some hard mode Tob in attempts to get the pet, which we did not achieve. As well, I wanted the dust, but I did become the only level 3 in the game with a Sinhaza Shroud 1. And we're going to be coming back to Theater of Blood in the future, so if you're looking to help out later on for the progress of this account and have experience in hard mode Tob, well, please stop by my Discord in the description below, where I'll rank you, tag you, and eventually we can try and take on more 3 combat hard mode Tobs together if you're willing to help me and give me your valuable time. But I have a lot going on in real life right now, as well as a lot of videos coming out these next few weeks, so it's probably going to be April until we can start doing some Theater of Bloods again. But come in the Discord, I'll give you a rank and give you a shout when it's time. I'll also add you all in game to my level 3's friends list, of course, if you're down to help with Theater of Blood at some point. Speaking of help, I'm going to start this video on that note. Help. I met this kind gentleman Scurrius, who has a lot of boss KC on the level 3 high scores already, and he uses alts and much more unique, interesting methods. So he's going to be showing me a lot of the methods and helping me start off with some KC on some of the bosses in the wilderness for today's video. Eventually I'll take on these bosses with my own alts and slightly alter his methods, but he's going to be showing me some of these to get me started off and eventually take on a lot more bosses solely on my own. Now, why I want to take on some bosses as a level 3 today is because I do have a hard hilt. I'm currently the only level 3 in the game with the hard hilt, and I want to maintain that. There's a lot of updates that have been coming out from Jagex recently, such as even the new Titans that's going to have more combat achievements coming out recently with that, and the threshold for the tiers of combat achievements like the hard hilt are going to be going up gradually. So I want to complete as many combat achievements as I physically can, and when I say that, I mean I want to do a completionist kind of route on this level 3 and do literally every achievement that I think is possible. So there's going to be some very unorthodox methods, unique, cool ways to take on some of these combat achievements, especially later on down the line, but it's going to be very interesting. It's going to be using recoils, vengeance, alts, venom, poison, retribution even for some of these, and weird lure methods, and it's going to allow for all kinds of different unique challenges on this level 3 account. Now, I don't think I'll ever be able to hit the elite combat tier because that's nearly a 500 point spread from hard to elite, and unless I somehow get access to Tombs of Damascus in the future, that's just not going to be possible. And even with that, it's like barely possible, and once again the threshold keeps going up, so I don't think we'll ever see the elite tier CAs at least not in my lifetime on this game for a level 3. So the goal though is to maintain hard combat achievement hilt here and just do every possible combat task I can. Today specifically, I want to focus on some of the bosses in the wilderness plus Scurrius. We'll get into why Scurrius in a bit. It's just one of the easier ones to get out of the way, honestly. We're going to be looking at Scorpia, Chaos Elemental, KBD, the Crazy Archeologist, and the Chaos Fanatic as the bosses and the combat achievements we'll be focusing on today. I'm not gonna lie, I thought this was not going to be that difficult, and it really wasn't terrible, but it allowed for a lot of creativity and different methods that I didn't even think of along just the discovery route of how to go about taking on some of these combat achievement tasks, which you'll see today, which I thought was kind of interesting just to do, much less watch back. I'm going to be in the bank for most of this at the start, so yeah, I can literally kill these bosses remotely with the help of a friend, but eventually I'll get to the point where I'm just gonna be doing everything myself on 9 accounts simultaneously, and that's going to be where it's going to be a little bit more hectic later on in the video. If you're level 3 though and you want to get some help with boss KCs and pay a little bit of GP for it, Scurrius does have a Discord. I'll link it in the description below. For all these tasks, by the way, I'll be collecting poison dynamite, and this is a lot more annoying than it sounds. You get 1 spawn in each world, you're competing with bots, and it's 3 nightshades per 1 poison dynamite. The nightshades are also untradeable, although you can buy the normal dynamite. You have to sit here and hop worlds, sometimes hit the world hop timer, and it just takes an insanely long amount of time to collect any decent amount of poison dynamite, and a lot of it I'll be throwing away because I'm going to be getting missed hits, deaths, and much more. So that's just a big part of the process, is going to be me spending tens of hours collecting dynamite for these combat achievement tasks. And of course, I'm not going to show you 10 hours of footage of me collecting dynamite, so that's the rundown for that. And basically that means just add another 30 hours imaginary into the mix of how all these tasks were taken on. So for the first task, we're taking on Scorpia, and at first I had Scurrius' help here. He would basically allow me to wait outside. He would lower the stats of Scorpia with an Elder Maul, and then wait for the healers to come out, as well then hitting it with Dark Light to lower its stats even more, because Elder Maul goes a 40% decrease off of the current level of defense, whereas Dark Light spec is a 5% off of the entire defense level, which doesn't scale down with the lowering of its defense. So eventually, after about 5 Elder Maul hits, you're going to want to switch to a Dark Light and hit about 5 times with that. And you'll have to roll successfully, which is a lot of the frustration, because the first few specs are the worst, because you're attacking something that's very strong against melee like Scorpia and most of these bosses, and you're going to be hitting a lot of zeros, and that's where the spec transfer alts come into play. A lot of this was done through spec transfer alts. Here at Scorpia specifically, they were lined up outside north in a kind of line of sight where they could spec transfer the account whenever it came out of the cave, and then would run back in, and then it would go try and Elder Maul spec it again and again and again, and then eventually Dark Light spec it, and then wait for the healers inside of Scorpia to heal it back up to full. And from here, he had yet another account that was 1 strength high attack that would just take a Dark Light, run in the cave, hit it 1 last time. Scorpia does heal kind of quickly, and I needed at full HP to use dynamite. As well, I needed at full HP to reset the KC towards myself being the most inflicting damage on the NPC. So after about 20 ticks and that 1 hit from the last Dark Light spec from that new account he pulled in, Scorpia's defense would basically be 0. Now I have to run into the cavern and survive, usually combo eating pizzas to Guthix rest, and then put a dynamite on it kind of while I'm going in and out of its body to avoid damage from it. Luckily, its melee stats were also weakened from the Dark Light spec, so it couldn't really one-hit me here. I was pretty safe as long as I just ate up and made sure I had an antidote going for the scorpions, the little minions attacking me. But eventually I'd get that hit off. I would want to hit at least at 2 on this NPC, because 1, it heals really quickly, and if it heals to full before he puts a hit on it, it's not going to count anymore for my KC. And 2, because he's going to throw a snare on it that's going to hit a 1 with the Cursed Magic Amulet, which guarantees lower magic damage nowadays. So by hitting that 1 and me hitting the 2, I have the majority of the damage, 2 over 1 obviously, and the rest of the damage will be done through venom basically, and that venom is going to be neutral damage. It's not attributed to any player. So because I have the most damage being 2 over 1 from the venom alt with the Serpentine Helm and the Toxic Trident throwing the snare, I will therefore get the kill credit. But at this point, after I throw the dynamite on, and then after I get the snare off, or he gets the snare off onto the NPC, I'm able to just leave. I was able to go and literally train Herblore for a long period of time here at the Edgeville Bank while I waited for the venom to tick down, and then for him to reset the defense of the NPC for me to come back and then throw another dynamite on its 0 defense again, and then run out, go back to Edgeville, do some more Herblore. So I did get 90 Herblore actually doing this, which I think 88 is a requirement for master clues on a Sherlock step. So killing 2 birds with 1 stone there, but eventually I had to do this on my own too, and it was not very fun whenever I started having to log into 9 of my own accounts at the same time and simultaneously try and survive in the Scorpia lair and do all of that. So although it was not quite fun, most of the kills were easy. The Guardians No More task also completed on the first try because, well, the Guardians don't come back out if Scorpia is never hit again, past just the venom damage with the real kill at like half HP. If you never do any physical damage, they'll never come out. From here then I took on the 10 KC task, which is just a traditional kill count task, and finally after some more hours the 25 kill count task, thanks to Scurrius' help. And once again I trained my Herblord the whole time, which I'll later need for this Master Clue Sherlock step. One task though in the 25 kill count we never managed to do was I Can't Reach That, where no person ever in the entire room can take any damage from Scorpia. So I bonded up some of my own accounts for this and some Venge alts and Spec Transfer alts, and after a bunch of GP, bonds, gear, and figuring it all out, got the process down for this one. I would be the first one to overcome this combat achievement task on a level 3, and I would basically lower all of Scorpia's offensive stats to 1 with my Dark Light, just in case he did have that chance of hitting me. He would maybe hit a 0 instead of a 1 or even higher. From here I would take his healers to get his HP back to full like any other Scorpia kill, and then sit with Protect Melee during this whole process, because if any account gets damaged by Scorpia, this task fails. So I'm going to be taking range damage from all the minions constantly while trying to survive on multiple accounts inside of here, and basically surround Scorpia. I had it with 2 alts. If I had 3 alts here, I could box it in entirely near the entrance, but unfortunately I only had 2 kind of semi-tanky alts. So I would go in there, do the last Dark Light spec with 1 strength, lower its defense to 0, sit on 2 sides of it, then come into my level 3, try and sit in the middle of Scorpia while I would then throw dynamite on it, get the 2 or more hit off, then I would hit the snare with the Serpentine Helm Toxic Trident Staff to once again get the venom, leave on one of my accounts because it's almost dead here, and then on this other account that's almost ran out of gear as well from taking all this range damage, I'm going to switch to Protect Range, as well as then click on my cannon I set up on it to red X this NPC and never take a melee hit, while also protecting range and surviving with minimal gear left. Now, as long as nobody was ever hit by the Scorpia for this task, it should complete, and I barely got this done and barely survived on the 2 accounts that were just sitting inside the cavern here. Once again, if there was one more account on the north side of Scorpia, this would have been foolproof. Probably would have been easier with a Den's Bulwark and some tankier gear, and I wouldn't have had to have red X'd the cannon, but we use what we have, and that's finally how I completed that last Scorpia task. Alright, several hours later of collecting more poison dynamite, I was ready for KBD, and Scurrius once again was right there ready to help me. Here I would need to hit a 3 damage optimally, as KBD regened every 10 ticks, yes, extremely quick, which was great for lowering its defense and then letting it heal back up to make sure its defense was still lowered, but once again, terrible for a low poison dynamite hit roll because its HP could heal to full after my initial damage and no longer count for the kill credit from my level 3. Scurrius here used some of his alts to box it in near the lever so it wouldn't kill me whenever I went down the lever to use the poison dynamite on it, even though I didn't have Dragon Slayer done, because if this thing hit me with Dragon Fire, I would be dead at this point, and I did not want Dragon Slayer done because I did not want Dragon tasks for later Wilderness Slayer that I'll be taking on. Those are the worst tasks to have. Not the worst, but almost the worst tasks to have. So Dragon Slayer, we're not going to be starting that anytime soon until at least I'm 99 Slayer, which sounds ridiculous, but optimally, it's by far the best thing to do. Although this meant I could not complete the kill the KBD while using a Protect from Dragonfire combat achievement task. We'll do that task probably like dead last on this account, but I could get almost every other task done besides this in the private instance ones, because yes, even the Claw Clipper task I found a workaround, once again I used for my defense spear a while back with the Protect from Melee Prayer. So after firing away at 3 or 4 poison dynamite here while surrounded by Scurrius' accounts, I maneuvered in the body of KBD further to avoid taking any damage and dying without getting my poison dynamite hit off. And sometimes I even found out that a nice random like Dr. Jekyll here would pop up and help me with the body block because he's an NPC himself. He's trying to get to me, and in turn he's blocked off an entire side of KBD from moving. Thank you, Dr. Jekyll. So after I got that 3 to 4 hit off, Scurrius would then go ahead and quickly recoil a KBD hit with any of his accounts to make sure its HP did not regen to full, then throw a Bind Venom cast, and then start vengeancing the NPC down, all with neutral damage to guarantee once again the kill credit to my level 3, having hit the most damage out of all of them. Besides neutral damage, which doesn't count by the way once again. So for Scorpia, it was about 3 kills an hour, maybe 4 max. But for KBD here, I was doing maybe 7 kills an hour, a bit quicker. So I did this for the 10 and 25 kill credit tasks to get those combat achievements out of the way, and eventually I did even get the Claw Clipper task by going onto an LMS world, making sure we did not get crashed. Then after doing the initial dynamite, teleporting to Ferox Enclave, going inside a last man standing game, trying to survive with Protect from melee up, because that's the task requirement, kill KBD with Protect from melee up, and then whenever KBD finally died, I would end up getting the Black Dragon 1KC task, as well as the Claw Clipper task, while inside LMS. Yes, this works. It's a cool workaround, very unique, very good content. I love content like that. I almost forgot to mention, in these 25 kills, I got extremely lucky and even got a set of KBD heads, which technically I'm the only level 3 who can stuff these and mount these in my house because I have Mortania access. After collecting more dynamite yet again, Scurrius showed me the next boss in the lineup, that being Scurrius. Yeah, the rat boss his account's actually named after. By the way, he's named after that because this guy has a Scurrius pet at level 3. He got kind of lucky, but also used a cool method for this, which I'm going to eventually use as well here. This boss is a bit different though. Since it's a group boss and a newer boss, you can just go ahead and kill it with normal damage on a main to receive the kill credit, because as long as there's less than 10 people in the room, all 10 people get a KC. Even though you might not be the MVP who does the most damage and has the chance at a pet, you can get the kill credit task done pretty quickly, which is just 1 KC and then 10 KC for Scurrius. So basically same thing here. Outside of the wilderness this time, we'd use Elder Maw's better gear and arc light specs to lower this thing's defense down as much as possible, where it would then heal back up, and then I would use a poison dynamite on this NPC where I could even just hit a 1 instead of a 2 or 3 because his HP didn't regen that quickly, and then I would have Scurrius's main here finish off the boss and grant me the KC. Although once again, not the MVP and not rolling for pet chances, this was a quick and easy way to get the 10 KC tasks out of the way. But for the 10th and final KC, I wanted to test the waters a bit. I wanted to try something new that had not yet been done. So I figured out a way to get MVP on the level 3 quick and easy. Same thing, lower its defense, come in with the dynamite, but on the main, towards the end of the kill when Scurrius has 16 or less HP, switch to a dark bow, stand far away, pull the special attack on a dark bow, which is guaranteed to hit an 8/8 at the very minimum with dragon arrows, guaranteeing Scurrius's death, and then teleport as the projectile of the dark bow shoots off. And because Scurrius has a longer death animation here, well, he's going to be falling to the ground, you're going to be teleporting out of the main, I'm going to come in on the level 3, and therefore because the level 3 is the only player in the room at the time of Scurrius's death and the only then player who's done damage on Scurrius, I'm awarded MVP on the level 3 because the other main is completely out of the room, teleported away by the time Scurrius hits the floor. So yeah, I could have rolled a pet here, but I did not, unfortunately, and I can't be asked with the Scurrius pet, to be honest, so I think we're just going to call it at 10 KC. So far I only focused on the kill credit combat achievement task for Scurrius, but I did have a plan to take on eventually, maybe in the next video or the one after that, the actual task where you have to kill all 6 of his minion rats within a few ticks of each other, and that was simply by maybe poison dynamiting each of them, so I have the kill credit, then using a neutral damage like retribution on an alt, triggering the alt to die near all 6 of those, and then killing them all in one big hit. So that's my idea for killing the 6 minion rats quickly for the other CA. We'll try that one later on down the line. I'm not sure if it'll work or not, but it would make for an interesting clip and an interesting method for a new combat achievement task on the level 3, which once again, I want to do all of them, so one day we'll get there. All right, time to move on to the next boss, or actually, time to get more poison dynamite, then move on to the next boss. Next, we take on Chaos Elemental. For this one, I wanted to complete every single combat achievement task in the entire bracket for this boss, because I believe it is all possible, although it's not going to be fun. Not in the slightest. This is one of the slowest KCs per hour, clocking at about 3 kills per hour, and for the final KC task, we need 25 kills. So yeah, another, I don't know, what is that, 7 hours? Basically 8 hours of alt-scaping. A lot of these took a long time, although it may not look like it, they took a long time. Okay, so Scurrius was still helping me out at this point. He showed me this sick lure here, where you could take the Chaos Ellie to the west behind this gate, then on another account log in just 1 tile further west where he was touching the edge of his aggression range. This would confuse the Chaos Ellie as the alt here logged in. It was still 1 tile away in multi, but not in the aggression zone of the Chaos Ellie, and therefore got the Chaos Ellie stuck permanently into this position. Well, not permanently, it could get unstuck, but only by never being in combat, and therefore we kept this NPC in combat by smacking it with a goblin hammer, which always hits zeros on an alt that was logged in right in that tile west of it. After getting it lured and smacking it continuously with this hammer, we would then spec transfer it and then use a once again brewed down strength high attack alt to hit about 5 Elder Maul specs on it, then 4 to 5 Darklight specs on it to drop its defense to 0, which this could be verified via the monster examine spell on the Lunar spellbook with Dream Mentor quest done. The problem with Chaos Ellie though is it had the old HP regen timer of only 1 HP regenerating per minute, so we usually had a 15 to 20 minute wait before this thing would be back up to full HP, and therefore in turn back at 15 to 20 defense, so there was more poison dynamite being thrown at this NPC as well as a longer wait time between the kills. But while we're waiting, we can go ahead and set up some more worlds, optimally 3 at a time with the amount of alts I eventually was using, and lure 3 Chaos Ellies and 3 separate worlds to the spot, use 3 separate alts, smashing this thing with a goblin hammer, and then spec transferring on each of the worlds synchronized one after another to lower those worlds Chaos Elemental defenses down as well as HP. Then eventually cycle back to the first world where I would then switch these spec transfer alts into Venge transfer alts and throw Vengeance on one account that would step out in front of Chaos Elemental on very specific tiles to take its aggression. And even when stepping on these very specific tiles, it did not always work for taking hits with the Chaos Elemental because it was such in a weird confused state. Sometimes it would take a minute or more for the Chaos Elemental to throw a real hit on me, and unfortunately Chaos Elemental has 2 other attacks which don't even do damage, so I could not really venge. One being a teleport, which sometimes would teleport me even further west, put me outside the multi-combat zone, and therefore not allow for my other accounts to cast a new vengeance on my account, which was in a single way zone for far too long, for quite a few seconds, as there's a cooldown with that in PvP zones. As well, it would do another attack which would just remove my weaponry, which was useless because it wouldn't do any damage and I couldn't venge it. So that, combined with the fact that this Chaos Elemental barely ever hit me and was just confused half the time, made this a very slow kill in each world. But I did later find a workaround for this that made it a bit quicker, even with just 1 hit per say 30 seconds on average. And that was, I found out its main attack that does damage here does AoE from up to 2 tiles away. So I would take one account out, venge all of my other accounts separately, and then ricochet the damage off 2 tiles diagonally to the other accounts to get a big hit splat off just one singular Chaos Elemental attack. And what this would do is it would allow me to, even though only taking 1 hit from the Chaos Elemental every 30 seconds, it would be like a Venge Bomb, similar to the Calphi Queen and how that's handled with alt accounts. And then I would step back in, eat up on each of the accounts, venge again, and by that time I would then be able to go back out with a new venge, uncooled down, and do another Venge Bomb, probably about 5 or 6 times to finish off the Chaos Elemental. And once again, Vengeance is all neutral damage, so the kill credit would go to the initial level 3 that pulled the Poison Dynamite to the west of it and hit the 1 damage from full HP, whereas these other hits just didn't count for anything and gave the kill credit to my level 3. This allowed for me to take on the 10 and 25 kill credit tasks, and here's where I started doing my own KC and using a lot of my own alts for these and own lures, which you'll see here. It was hectic. My frame rate was dropping. I was on 9 accounts at the same time. I had to use a lot of bonds, a lot of equipment, a lot of GP, and a lot of time. Like I said, 3 kills per hour was not optimal. And at one point, for even one of these tasks, the flincher, you could not take any damage at all. This was done by getting a lucky lure, getting the Chaos Elemental into place without taking any damage, and then using retribution accounts to then run in west of the Chaos Elemental, trigger the retribution with an account there in PvP, and then go ahead and use the retribution to hit the southwest tile of the Chaos Elemental to continuously inflict damage over the course of about 30 minutes without the Chaos Elemental ever inflicting damage on me after getting the initial Poison Dynamite hit off, or on anyone, because if the Chaos Elemental hits anyone ever after its respawn, even say 24 hours ago, it'll kill this task. We made sure that did not happen. We got the retribution alts into place, and finally, once again, after about a half hour of running retribution alts all the way from Edgeville to the Lever, through the Spiderweb, all the way down south to the Chaos Elemental, we got this kill credit and the flincher task completed. The other task was the one which required Chaos Elemental to never remove anyone's weapons or equipment. This was simply done by killing the Chaos Elemental to refresh it, make sure it hadn't done that to anyone else in the area first, then have pies or vials in the inventory, lure it, and kill it the standard way without ever getting anything unequipped, and having a full inventory at all times on the Venge account. But yeah, that is a lot of information, but that's how we took on the Chaos Elemental with this sick lure here. and these Venge alts as well as Retribution used in one case for the flincher task. Poison Dynamite once again though was the go-to for the kill credit, and Vengeance was the go-to for neutral damage. So yes, eventually I green logged the Chaos Ellie combat achievement task, but unfortunately I did not acquire a Chaos Ellie pet or any real collection log like a Dragon 2-hand or Dragon Pickaxe, but I'm gonna be honest, I could care less about collection logs. I'm never gonna be going for that because that's an endless, limitless grind that I think is just unhealthy, and already what I do is unhealthy enough. I'm not trying to collect everything. Screw that. No thanks. Passing on that one. Even though the collection log high scores are out now, no thank you. Not doing that in the slightest. But pets, that's a different story. I like me some good pets. Unfortunately though, Chaos Elemental did not drop his pet for me. Even though it is a low 1 in 300 rate and we got 25 kills on this, it was pretty probable that we could have hit the pet, but we did not as well. Scorpia has a 1 in 2000 rate. We did not get the pet in those 27 kills I did on that boss because I came back for that last 0 hit task for a couple of kills, failed one, got it the second try, and then Scurrius for the 1 MVP that I ended up getting. Obviously did not get the pet on that, so no pets yet so far, but I have a feeling if I do enough of these combat achievement tasks for all of these different bosses, maybe one of them will just roll me a pet, like Callisto even, or Venenatus, or I don't know, Mole, Calphite Queen. We'll take some of these on in later episodes, but I have plans for all of these once again and to do every single combat achievement task I possibly can as a level 3. But for the next 2 bosses I'll cover in today's episode, one doesn't have a pet and the other one is just super rare, so not having my hopes up for the rest of this episode, but who knows, it could happen. There's still a chance. The 2 bosses I'm mentioning left are, of course, the Chaos Fanatic and the Crazy Archeologist. Now these sound like easier bosses, but actually these were terrible. Once again, I was averaging 2 or 3 kills per hour because they had a low HP regeneration rate and were unique because they were in single way combat. So Vengeance, Spec Transfer, not an option here. So I'm going to start here with the Chaos Fanatic and see how this goes, see what method we ended up using without Spec Transfer. So for the Chaos Fanatic combat achievements, there was one combat achievement I had to stay here for 10 kills without leaving the wilderness, which would be a problem with limited inventory space and Poison Dynamite taking up so much space. This is where my stackable nightshades I had collected from farming came into clutch. I took about 300 here, and then I could have an alt come up here and trade me normal tradable dynamite to then create the Poison Dynamite on the spot without leaving the wilderness, and then I would log out between the kills, hopefully never dying in the wilderness and retaining that 10 kill count wilderness status. This took hours once again because we're hitting 2 or 3 kills per hour, but here was the method for actually killing the Chaos Fanatic, which is another new weird venture in itself. I would once again, like Chaos Elemental, hold 3 worlds at a time here because the boss had a slow HP regen rate, being 1 HP per minute. I would spec it down with Elder Maul about 5 times and Darklight 5 times, but how would I do this with no spec transfer alts? Well, first of all, I would continuously keep my strength brew down, but my attack potted up on this max main here. I would run to the KBD after 2 specs and teleport out inside the lair where there was no wilderness teleport restrictions, then go to my maxed house on this account to then downgrade my pool that didn't regen HP and stats because I needed to keep my strength at level 1 to hit the lower amounts to keep the Chaos Fanatic's HP from going down too far and having to wait like an hour for its HP to regen and its defense there in turn to regen with it. So instead I created this shittier pool here which only restored my spec and prayer and run energy, and then I would teleport back with the burning amulet, run a few tiles west again, go hit it with another couple of specs, which a lot of the time because Chaos Fanatic and even the Crazy Archeologist had very high defense, I would hit 0s off the bat, so a lot of the first few specs were 0s. Eventually once I started getting the Elder Maul specs in though, like the first 2, it was pretty easy from there, and I would switch into the Darklight after about 5 specs and go back a few more times using Burning Amulet teleports, running back to the KBD lair, house teleports, refreshing my special attack energy once again, and then going back again and again and again for about 10 total spec hits, 5 of each kind. I would then have to wait about 15 to 20 minutes for regen for the Chaos Fanatic, so I would hop to the next world, continue the process on the next world, and then the world after that. Then I would log on to this Venomal on the first world, lure it into this corner trapped area here next to my level 3, where I would set the level 3 for the first time for 10 minutes to de-aggro all possible damage from Chaos Fanatics whenever logging into other worlds, because yes, I did mess this up a few times and had died, unfortunately, a few times later on and lost my Poison Dynamite. By the way, you lose Poison Dynamite if you die in the wilderness, so it was not fun losing an inventory of Poison Dynamite 2 or 3 times in a row, but I figured it out, got the 10-minute de-aggro timer down to where basically I could never die at this point unless it's from another player, but I'm 3 combat, so that's where it helps me out here because no one's going to attack me really. If they attack me, they're going to attack my alts, not my level 3. So the level 3 would basically sit there. Once this NPC was back to full HP and about 15 defense, it would throw some poison dynamites on it while it was range potted up with maximum range bonus, because that's what the Fanatic is weakest to here. Eventually get at least a 2 hit off, pull out my Serpentine ult to hit a 1 with the snare, to then venom this NPC because it's not immune to venom like the Chaos Elemental is, and I could just wait out the venom for the rest of the kill. I could even log out on the level 3 after the initial hit from the dynamite, and then log back in to avoid AoE damage or any PKers and all of the other possible crap that can happen in the wilderness. Yeah, it was just best to log out and then log back in whenever the Chaos Fanatic was nearing its last couple of venom ticks towards death. Get the kill credit, and then continue on doing that process 10 times over across 3 different worlds, sometimes getting PK'd on my alts, sometimes messing it up and having to start over, sometimes coming over on an alt as well, dropping dynamite under my level 3's body, or trading it dynamite to make more dynamite with my stackable nightshades, as I would run out definitely. But eventually, after several hours, I did get that 10 kills in the wilderness done in one inventory task, as well as just the 10 kill credit task in the same exact kill. I also ended up getting a collection log slot here. I did get a little bit lucky. I did get the Odium Shard 1, and then I would continue on for the next 5 hours to complete the next 15 kills to get the 25 kill credit task for just a couple more combat achievement points. And we did this with a lot of frustration and time, but eventually it was done. 25 kill credit at Chaos Fanatic, no Chaos Ellie pet yet again, 1 in 1000 drop rate from the Chaos Fanatic, but we did not get the pet. We got a shard, I'll take it, but let's move on to the final one here, the Crazy Archeologist. For the Crazy Archeologist, there would be 4 combat achievement tasks to overcome. Only 3 for today though, and I'll get into the 4th one later on, and possibly we'll even do that in the video next, or the one after that. I don't know, I'm going to try it, but it's going to be a long shot, and my theory for that's going to sound insane. Wait till the end of the video if you want to hear that. So I once again used my spec renewing pool in the POH on a brewed down main here, but super attack potted up, to then ancient teleport tab right to the ruins here where the Crazy Archeologist was, and I would go find him, Elder Maul spec him about 4 to 5 times successfully, then Darklight spec him another 5 to 6 times to lower the Archaeologist's defense down to 0, yet have his HP go down about 20 as well, then have a 20-minute wait timer before that was full again, so I could use Poison Dynamite on him on my level 3. On my level 3, I would once again wait out the 10-minute despawn timer to avoid any complications with AoE damage, or just avoid at some point, you know, maybe the Crazy Archeologist coming out and killing me. And once again, I'm using stackable nightshades here because I just can't bother waiting another 10 minutes. I'm just that impatient. I'm trying to get this task and the 25 kill credit out of the way as soon as possible. So I would cycle through the worlds on the main, lowering about 5 worlds worth of Crazy Archeologist defense down. Eventually, I would then hop back over to the initial world where the HP had regen back up, lure it over to this tree here next to my Venom alt and my level 3 alt. I could then do one last Darklight spec on it, wait another minute, have it set at then from 0 to 1 defense, but back to maximum HP. Then monster examine this on even a 4th alt sometimes to make sure his defense was down and his HP was up from this safe spot. And then finally, I would go ahead and pull the Poison Dynamite out. He was weak to slash, so I went ahead and used that on this boss and super attack potted. And from there, I would get a Poison Dynamite hit off of optimally 2 or more, or I would log out, because once again, Poison Dynamite has a 1 in 4 chance of poisoning, and I don't want the poison to further decrease his HP if I only hit a 1, because I'll have to hit a 1 on the Venom alt here, so I'll log out before the poison even interacts, and then grab a bind to grab aggro, keep the Crazy Archeologist in place, go back behind the tree, log back into the level 3, then wait for his HP to go back up 1 more. He's now 2 defense, go for some more Poison Dynamite hits on him, eventually get the Poison Dynamite hit on him, that's 2 or more this time, and then pull out the Venom alt with the snare, hit a 1, let the Venom take him all the way down, log out on the level 3 until the Venom's almost killed him, log back in on the level 3 just to avoid any kind of PKing or possible death from an AoE attack again from this Archaeologist, and then get finally the kill credit. Now on this boss, I never actually got any collection log slots. Oh, boo-hoo, I know. Collection log sucks anyway, so that's okay. There's no pet from this boss either, so, you know, who cares? I'm not an Iron Man, so I didn't really even want the fedora. Who cares? But we got the 10 kill count credit task out of the way, as well as eventually the 25 kill count credit task. Also, I ended up getting a task done, which was basically don't take any AoE damage on any account ever, which actually was a lot harder than it looked like, because on my main, I kept getting hit as I was teleporting, and even if the damage didn't hit you, but it exploded near you as you were teleporting, and it failed the task, I found out. After several failures, at like 23 kill count or 24, I finally got that one done without ever taking taking any AoE damage on any account, even on the lure back behind the tree, which scared me as well because I thought maybe these books would come out and hit my other accounts behind the tree. But no, we got that task done. So we got 3 out of the 4 tasks completely done through venom malting, through lowering the defense, through home tabbing, and then going back with this ancient tablet over and over again in 4 separate worlds simultaneously on my main account here that had brewed down strength. Sound complicated enough? Yeah, well, once again, we're getting about 3 to 4 kills per hour. So I was here for about 6 hours doing this, and it was not that fun. But once again, we're trying to just get every combat task done that we can eventually on this account, because why not? It's unique. Discovering how to do these tasks is the funnest part. Doing them, though, not the greatest part. Collecting the poison dynamite, not the greatest part, but showcasing the final product, it's beautiful. I love it. It's unique, and once again, it's on a level 3. Now as well, we have more of a threshold for new combat tasks that come out. The ones that I can't do specifically, whenever the point cap goes up on the hard hilt, we're not going to lose that hard hilt, which has already been lost 2 or 3 times now. So there's a big threshold here. I'm at over 434 points. We're like 40 points over the hard threshold. And I don't know, it's only looking up from here. I can get a lot more tasks done, and I plan to get a lot more tasks done probably in the next episode. I'm planning on looking at Calphite Queen, Mole, Venenatus, Callisto, and maybe even going back to this Crazy Archeologist as well as the Deranged Archeologist. For this Crazy Archeologist here, I'm trying to save my magic XP. I could risk some for this last task here, but I'm saving my magic XP for something top secret. Hopefully a Wilderness Sword 2 at some point, because I will be getting about 7 magic XP off of crafting an earth orb, if that is possible at some point. If I want to just save my magic XP just in case in the future, if there's a mage smuggle for 60 magic, I can go ahead and get the Wilderness Sword 1 and 2 and still have 7 magic XP to spare on this account till 2 magic. That's going to be kind of the reason for saving my magic XP. So on the Deranged Archeologist as well, I'm not going to do the magic task on that one where you only kill him with magic, but with this one specifically, I think there might be a way to take on this task without sacrificing magic XP, and that is by using D-Spear alts or using spec transfer alts in multi-combat areas to slowly push, probably over the course of hours, the Crazy Archeologist here from the southwest corner of the wilderness, where he spawns, all the way to the northeast corner of the wilderness with the Fountain of Ruin, where then I could cast spells on him as a level 3. He's got 1 magic, so he has no magic defense, and then kill him solely with spells and like a saturated heart, because you don't get XP at the Fountain of Ruin. So we'll see if that's possible. I don't know yet. I have a feeling he's going to despawn, kill my accounts that I'm trying to spear him with. It's going to be hectic as hell. It's probably going to be also a problem because he tries to wander backwards. So we'll have to form a wall, like a phalanx, in order to push this thing thousands of tiles northeast to the Fountain of Ruin. I don't know. It sounds like it would make for a really entertaining video. So I kind of want to try it, but it might not be possible. I haven't looked into it enough quite yet. So I'll be spending the next several days now collecting dynamite and figuring out the ins and outs of this next series of bosses. Unfortunately, with the Calphite Queen, you cannot lower its defense even with other accounts, or it does not give you the kill credit thanks to Limpwort's series nerfing that one there for us. So we're going to have to dump on average about 35 poison dynamite per kill, which equals out to about 2,000 total dynamite for the 50 kill credit task of Calphite Queen. But 50 kills on Calphite, even though it took us 20 hours to collect the dynamite for that one, probably it's gonna have a decent chance of giving us a pet, so I'm hopeful there as well. It'll just be nice to get a crazy task like that out of the way, and I'll be collecting poison dynamite for the foreseeable future, it looks like, and for the next episode in this series. And we're going to be adding more collections of highly unique items to our level 3 1 of 1 account, and you can check out the link to the full series in the playlist below. There is so much more left in store for this account. Please subscribe to the channel if you enjoyed this video today, or you enjoy my content and you're not yet subscribed. And lastly, a thank you to all of my Patreon supporters. I'll see you all again in 2 weeks. Happy Valentine's Day if you're watching this on the day of release. This day sucks for a lot of us boys, but you know, we'll get through it. I believe in you. Also, I have a second channel where I just talk to the mic openly. Check that out in the description below if you're down for it. Once again, shout out to our sponsor for today's video, Raid Shadow Legends. Download the game below in the description using my link and use promo code MonkeyKing till February 28th to get these rewards and more.